Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Sunday with The Last Heir. I am V Muse, your DM for this evening. I know it's been a couple weeks, but do forgive us. We had some technical difficulties a couple weeks before, and then last week, myself and Jim were very much out of commission. So, had to take a slight break, but we are back and we are together. As you can see, we are missing a couple of our players due to, things happen. It's winter time and everything like that. So hopefully we'll have everyone pulled back together again next week. This evening, we're going to have some fun and do a little bit of exploration with each of our fantastic players. However, I'm going to do a quick little recap as to what happened because I know it's been a while and I know people have been busy, and let's just be sure that we're all back on the same page and vaguely remembering where we had left off. So basically, we had it where our adventurers had gone to the Dead Druid Run. They wanted to check out what was happening with those stones in the middle of the river. And they're being led by Pedorata, otherwise known as Faye. She is the daughter of the chieftain and the priestess of the Grove of Eternal Autumn. So they finally get to these stones. We had this lovely talent from AOL where she created this bridge for everyone to go and check it out who could go over, because it turns out there was a weight limit. So only a few of the players could go over with their PCs, while some stayed on the edge of the river. Then for some reason, Gervain and Slane decided to go swimming, and they jumped into that river to check out one of the stones a little bit more closely because they did notice there was something going on with it. So while they're trying to keep their heads above water and check out the one cracked and opened up stone, we had the others get back across to the other side of the bridge, where they were then encountered by the Lady Mercaine, who was this rather interesting, shadowy figure who popped out of the river and was not happy with them. However, she did reveal some very important information to them, where they found out that there might actually be someone within the grove itself who is causing these problems and creating some issues. So yeah, they're going to have to do some investigating when they get back there. However, upon her departure, she decided to leave a couple little friends for them to fight, which they did successfully, I might add. And they basically wrapped it up with heading back towards their campsite. So you all got back to your campsite. It was early afternoon. Some of you were waterlogged, some of you were tired, some of you were just trying to figure out what the heck is going on. And we're picking it back up where basically you have Faye. She's very much drawn into herself, and she's very much made a point to sort of go back to where she had been sleeping the night before. You can tell very much that she is extremely disturbed and upset with what's been going on. So we're going to pick up at that point. But first, we're going to go around and introduce yourselves and tell us who you're playing, and we'll go from there. So I'm going to start right at the top with AOL.
Hello, I'm Tornfixie. You can find me at Tornfixie here on Twitch and on TikTok. Otherwise, if it's Twitter or Instagram, it's Tornfixie Twitch. Not at all confusing. I'm going to be playing AOL Glyph, who is our Shadow Fae Warlock, and maybe more.
Mm-hmm. All right, jumping down to the ever wonderful, much adored Slane, as played by Jim.
Hey, how's everybody doing? I hope they've survived this wintry blast that we've had in the last few weeks. I had to get a car unstuck 3 times in Montreal snow on the same day, and let me tell you, the D&D rules are not punishing enough for outdoor adventures. Anyway, I'm doing great. Can't wait to jump back in the Margreave where it's not snowy. And yeah, fun times.
Well, I mean, you never know. Now that you mention it.
Roll for snow.
Okay, alongside we have the lovely Kai. Please tell us who you're playing this evening.
Hi, I am playing Zira, and she is a halfling fighter. And I think earlier I said she was a gnome, now that I'm thinking of it. Anyway, she's a halfling fighter. And I'm really excited to be back to the game. It seems like it's been a long time, so I'm excited.
It's felt too long. My God, I've missed my Sundays. And certainly last but not least, we have Jessie. Hello, darling. How are you tonight?
I'm good. My name is Jesse. I'm on Twitter as @JesseNeon. That's pretty much the best place to find me. That's really the only place to find me. I'll be playing Maurice, a gear-forged priest who is currently French antlered and reverse kneed.
I love that way of summing it all up. That gets down to the nitty-gritty. Okay, so you were all basically sitting back at your campsite, and like I said before, Fedora the Fae, she has gone off and she's made a point, just sort of this, doesn't want to be bothered, doesn't want to be disturbed right now. She's made it very clear she's extremely appreciative that you've helped her and her community this far, but there's some pretty heavy stuff looming ahead of her and what she's going to have to bring back news-wise. Meanwhile, we have Shreg, who has jumped out of the papoose slain, and he's sort of just toddling around a little bit.
Wow, that was something else. Whoa! I gotta figure out who was that? This mysterious person. Oh, hold on.
And he takes out their dodecahedron, that's the word I want, and they start fiddling around, and they're extremely distracted, and it gets to the point where they look down and you can see that this dodecahedron is glowing brighter and brighter, and at one point they look up at the rest of you like,
I don't know what that was about. I gotta get more information. Maybe there might be answers in this.
and as they're saying this, you see this dodecahedron's getting brighter and brighter, and it's starting to pulse, and you haven't seen this happen with them before when they're using this particular item. And again, they're still very distracted. Like, they're almost fixated on this whole, who was that mysterious shadowy person in the river? Why were they attacking and everything like that? When suddenly the dodecahedron bursts into light, and when the light fades, both the dodecahedron and Shreg are gone.
I don't think that's supposed to do that.
I haven't seen him do that before.
Slane, you have been with Shrek the longest. Does he often disappear from non-reality?
Not that I know of. I don't think he's capable of that kind of business. Just, like ontologically, I guess doesn't fit him. But I don't know. I can ask around though.
The box is gone too, right? Is that what you said?
Yeah, everything is gone. His dodecahedron is gone. They're gone. The whole situation of where they were sitting, it's just there's no evidence that they were even sitting there. It's just gone in this burst of light. And you also have Gervain, who's been watching as well, and you see that he starts blinking his eyes furiously. Now, mind you, he's kind of been at your side, almost like a barnacle Slane, since you've gotten back. He's been staring you down and, kind of just talking to you here and there, but intense is a very good word to describe him at this moment. But once this burst of light happens, he's kind of like just covering his eyes, almost as if he's starting to migraine type of situation.
Like he looked at pulsing light too long, or just something's going on with him otherwise? Something
with the light has definitely affected him. You can tell it's almost like he doesn't even want to be in the sunlight, the natural sunlight that's there now after this intense exposure of light.
Oh yeah, that's perfectly normal. Yeah, that's perfectly normal.
I just, you know what, that was an intense time. You know what, guys, and no offense, I'm gonna go into the woods for a little bit. I just need to get into some, I don't know, that was just like way too much for my eyes right now. I just need to kind of regroup. I'm gonna just kind of take little Zara with me. We're gonna just maybe take like a nap. The nap might help. So I'll see you guys in a couple hours. I'll be fine, but this is, I don't know, I've just had too much. And he actually as he's saying this, he's backing away, and it's almost like you can see little Zara is concerned about him, and with his massive form, he's sort of nudging him into the more shadowy area of the woods. And within minutes, he's faded back into the brush of the Margreave, and that now leaves the rest of you sort of standing around this campfire area, just the four of you.
Yeah.
And again, it's later afternoon.
And Zenzo will fall.
Yeah, well, you gotta be careful with light, because it'll eat you right up, and it'll drive you crazy ultimately. So like I always said, the dark is best, because there's no light there. It's better that way.
Sure.
Yeah.
I don't think I agree with that, but it seems like he might need some time.
Oh yeah, certainly. Yeah. Well, Now that Gervain mentions it and Faye went off, I really gotta see somebody about a thing. I could meet you back at the village if you like, or back here. It's really up to y'all. I could find you pretty much anywhere.
Do you want anybody to go with you?
I don't think that would be things might get complicated if there was other people, and you can walk with me for a while, but maybe not as far as where I'm going, because I don't want to get you in trouble or anything.
It seems as if things are already complicated without our involvement.
Right. You're just kind of life is that way sometimes. So preach.
That is fair, mon ami.
But I'd keep company if somebody wants to walk. But really, though, after certainly, I gotta insist. Besides, I got no Name with me, so I won't be alone.
I am happy to walk with you for a time.
All right, yeah, that's great.
I'll stick with AOL.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, somebody should stick around.
Honestly, I know you want to go back to your village and everything. I'm not sure now's the greatest time with all honestly weird stuff that's just happened.
Yeah, I'm trying to get some answers from some of that, mostly. So, but yeah, it's not timing's real bad on this one.
As a man of gods, I suppose I should say, I can certainly understand needing to walk your own path in order to find answers. And if it is as you say, we seem unable to lose you. So, I'm not super concerned. If this is what you feel you must do, then let us do it.
Yeah. I hope I have some answers when I get back, and I won't be far, but it is in the opposite direction. So, like I said, I'll move fast. On my own. Meet you back here or at the glade.
Probably at the glade.
All right. Well, you know what? I'll swing by here first, and then I'll go to the glade. That kind of thing. Anyway, got my stuff ready. And he doesn't have a pack anymore, I don't think, but he does have a proper weapon, so he's all set.
You got a pack from the Grove. They made sure you were
that's right.
stocked up. They gave you everything you needed, so you have a pack on your back and everything. You're almost fully restored. In fact, if not a little bit better, because you've got your new boots, you've got your new weapon, you've got the new pack. So you're almost back to your full supply sets you had once before.
Sweet. And we are 4th level, yeah.
Yes.
All our level ups. Okay, cool.
Yep.
So yeah, if Slane's ready to go, then Maurice would kind of get up and offer to walk with him for a time before he does his Slane thing, whatever that happens to be.
Sure.
Before Slane goes into bizarre disappearing stalker-ish mode. There's theories, there's rumors. We're not quite sure. He's kind of lovable. It's to his advantage in that respect. All right, so we have these two figures sort of almost in the opposite direction of where Gervain quickly made his exit. And again, Faye, you can still see her. She's very much just sort of put herself off to the side, though. She's sort of gone into herself, is the best way to describe it. So as the two of you start walking off, Slane, for you, this is something more of a familiar path, that's for sure. Maurice, you are very much following this well-versed ranger, and that was my psychotic cat. Sorry about that. Believe it or not, she's only 5 pounds, and that's the sound she makes. So you guys emerge off into the woods, and Zira and AOL, you're watching them leaving just the two of you now standing there at basically what are embers of the fire kind of still going. It's not a full throttle fire. It can easily be resuscitated if you want, but then there were 2.
Oh, probably shouldn't let this go all the way out. We'll need to do dinner unless we're gonna, or meal or whatever, unless we're gonna get moving off soon. But I don't think that'd be. Should we be heading back to the Grove soon?
I guess. What time of night is it?
It's still early afternoon. And AOL, upon your saying that, you would hear Faye just sort of piping up, although it's not loud. You sort of hear this very soft, tired voice. We'll go back in the morning. It's better that we all get some sort of rest. You have fought valiantly, and it's appreciated, but right now I have much to think about. Whatever the two of you wish to do, it is entirely up to you. Just try not to go too far. Something tells me those two will somehow manage to make their way back between the gods and were slain. But try not to go too far yourselves. The forest can be a little bit odd out here, especially in this area. I just need to go and clear my head. I'm going to go for a very short walk. I won't too far. Just call for me if you need me. I'll be on your shot. And she stands up and she sort of brushes off her legs and everything, and you can see she's even taking care with her hooves and just sort of making sure there's nothing stuck in them, no mud or anything like that. And once she's sort of pulled herself together, she starts walking away from the two of you back down the river, interestingly enough, towards the dead druid run stones. But it's not like you can tell if she's going to make a point to go there all the way, or maybe she's just going sort of back to regroup and pull her thoughts back together. But her shoulders are stooped over and her pace is far more methodical and plodding than you've seen before. She's normally very upbeat and determined, with a confidence, and that seems to have slightly drained from her personage after finding out what the Lady Mercane shared with you all. So now you truly are just the two of you left at this site, knowing that you're intended to stay here for a little bit longer, and the rest of it just kind of falls on you.
Hey, well, I think your plan for just finding dinner and hanging out is probably the best idea.
Yeah, it sounds like rest is needed. At least for some of us. Probably be good for me too, honestly. Have to think of it.
All right, so do the two of you just sort of stick close by? Do you decide that you want to go scrounge up something for a snack or a meal? What would you want to do in this downtime moment you have?
I guess go.
Zira and then Aol.
I was just gonna say go scrounge up something probably for a meal in case Slane and Maurice come back, and then we have some food. If they don't, me and Aol will eat well.
There you go. Yeah, because your pies got ruined in the dip in the water.
What pies?
Still too soon. Clearly that was still too soon. Aol, what would you be doing?
Sounds like we had the same line of thought there. So, sounds like we're gonna go scrounging.
Okay, then, so you two start heading into the forest. I'd like you each to give me a survival check as you're going to go scrounge for some victuals.
Oh, try.
16.
This will be better in a few levels. So, like, that.
Okay, so I got a 16.
20. Non-natural.
Oh! Hey, that still works.
Never mind
so
what I just said.
Woo! Maybe just keep saying that. Maybe the dice, like, reverse psychology. Oh, you think so? Well, here you go. Here's a high number. So you're wandering into the forest itself. You followed this little footpath that you noticed before, thinking, well, if animals are walking through here, chances are there's something appealing to them. Maybe you can find something for yourselves. And do come across this little area where there are a cluster of berry bushes. And you can tell these are just basic, sort of like blackberries, mulberries, a mix of the two. So you could very easily pick some of these berries if you wanted to. And Zira, you are very much bereft of your pies. So if you wanted to, you could stop here and pick some of these berries. There are also some mushrooms that are growing around the tree stumps near these bushes. So you could gather some of those if you wanted to. Just keep in mind they are mushrooms. Or you could try going a little bit further into the forest and see if there's something more hardy that you could procure for yourselves.
I was gonna say, I'd want to keep an eye out for like wild herbs and salad stuff, and yeah, maybe a bunny or something. Stew sounds good.
Okay. All right. So
Yeah.
All right. So you sort of make a mental note of this. And you wander in a little bit more, and again, you're sticking to this footpath, and you do start seeing some herbs along the way. You have some sage that's growing. There's definitely a few sprigs of rosemary from a bush around the corner, and just the usual typical herbs. You're not finding anything super fancy, more of the hardier variety of things that are there and about for you. So if you wanted to pick along the way, you very easily could do that.
Okay.
As she's picking up stuff, I want to ask her, Awa, what brings you out here? I don't think we've really had a chance to talk. Like, what brings you out adventuring?
Honestly, looking for rare spell ingredients. There are some spells that you can't do without specific things, and they're very, very hard to find, and I was told I might find them out here. I kind of need them
Do
for
you?
my patron.
For your patron?
Yeah. They're not free, these patrons, you know? They expect a toll a lot of times. I'm lucky mine just wants stuff for completing a spell. After having done more studying on it, I realized how foolhardy what I did as far as even making a pact was, but here we are. And if I have any shot of surviving, because a lot of people don't, then I need to do what I can to keep them happy.
So your patron doesn't help you survive? Does he kill you? Does he kill...
Well, if you don't keep them happy, they can. Some of them require, like, blood sacrifices. Some require hours or days or years of your life. I'm lucky mine just wants me to find the kind of stuff I'm looking for.
What kind of spell does he want to do? He or she or they or... I don't know. I'm not familiar with patrons.
I'll be honest, I'd never heard of this spell before. I've done a lot of studying. The only thing I can think that's kind of scary is maybe it's one of the ones that people really aren't supposed to do anymore. But I'm sure there's a reason for it, right?
What if you don't help?
Well, they don't help me pass finals at college when I go back, and then my family remains in debt, and Lord knows bad things happen when you're in debt. And if I really, really tick them off, then I'm just gone because they'll wipe me from the face of existence.
So for the pact, you get to pass your finals at college?
Well, and I get access to all the spells that I have.
I feel like you're smart enough without help. Can you go back on it?
No. No, I've never heard of a person going back on their pact and surviving that. But, it's been good so far. I have to keep my eye out, you know?
If it means you're safe, I'm happy to help you look for the ingredients.
It'd be a bit helpful. Just kind of rare, really rare flowers and stuff, and it's a lot of them. I think I've only ever found one so far, but I need a lot more. And then after that, it's just the funding for the spell itself too.
The funding?
A lot of spells, as far as components, when you get into the really, really high level stuff, it starts costing actual money. And hopefully by the time that's a thing, I've got a stable enough job or whatever to actually afford it. But yeah. The thing is, I can't let my family know because I mean, they thought I was really, really, really smart. They assumed this stuff would be easier for me than for my twin, who is already passed and is off doing things. They've paid for me time and again to try and pass this stuff, and I can't let them keep doing that.
I believe in you. We'll figure it out.
Yep. Oh no. As far as my understanding of warlocks, this one's been fairly lenient as long as I'm actually trying. I don't seem to have any sort of like, oh hey, I need it now or an X time thing going, which is great.
Maybe if you want out of it, do you want out of it, or are you okay with it?
I think I'm okay with it. I mean, it hasn't, as far as I can tell, it hasn't affected me negatively. I mean,
Well,
I get to do this thing and does the Eldritch Blast randomly, which, you know, I couldn't do that before.
I have to agree, you do some pretty cool things. Well, I'll help. Just let me know what you need.
What about you? What are you doing out running around this forest?
I had a different home life and just trying to make a new one.
It happens a lot, huh? There's this.
I think I'm learning. I mean, you guys seem to be my family right now, so that's good for now.
Yeah.
I mean, as long as I don't have to go on any more boats with Slane, it's good, but otherwise...
You know, that looks like that's been somewhat terrifying. I mean, the first one couldn't be helped. We were all on that boat.
I don't know. He is the connecting factor to all boats sinking.
Oh, no. Well, next time, hop in my boat, then. We'll work this out.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Rush, for those bits. It is very much appreciated. So, as the two of you are having this heart-to-heart, I'd like you each to give me a perception check, please.
A perception.
A perception check.
Ooh. 20, dirty 20.
Excellent. Oh,
3.
a 3. All right, so with that 20, what'd you say?
23, sorry.
23. Okay, there we go. So both of you will see out of the side of well, not the side, but out of the corner of your eye, you see this flash of white streaking across the forest area, and you realize it is the hind end of a little rabbit zooming out from under the bushes. You've actually spooked it in your foraging, and away it's going. What would you like to do, seeing this rabbit in retreat?
If you Eldritch Blast it, will you cook it and trap it at the same time?
You know, I don't know. I'm not sure Eldritch Blast is smarter. I could just use my bow.
Oh, okay.
We could do that.
Okay,
That's fine.
so,
I guess we have a fire at the camp.
Yeah, you know,
Yeah.
have bow. We'll hunt. Okay, so
Yes.
let's do a nice little roll here and see if you catch the bunny wabbit for bunny wabbit stew.
Thanks.
And let's see here. Since Rush just gave us those bits, I'll let you roll it with advantage.
That was a 23.
Ooh, you're on a roll. Okay.
Dang, girl.
We'll see how long this dice likes me. I'm running out here.
Okay,
I
so
know it. I'm about to see a 1 anytime.
all right, so you absolutely hit. Let's see what the damage is. It's not going to take too much, but hey.
$10.
Kill the rabbit. Okay. Successfully, you pull your bow back, and you feel that familiar tension drawing as you rest your knuckle against your cheek. And as you release that arrow, it sails through that forest, and you hear the telltale thump of it making contact. And you don't even hear a shrieking sound, which with rabbits usually means it's been a true and solid kill. Jim, stop it. You're going to kill a hen at some point.
I've killed so many more animals on stream, so
I mean, God, you're carrying around Henrietta so that you can. So
I get a free speak with animals once a day on Henrietta.
There you go. Because that makes it less. All right. So Rabbit has been basically secured. Do you go after and try and find it, chase after it type situation?
Yep.
Okay, so the two of you start walking in the direction you saw the rabbit go into. And I'd like you to each give me a wisdom check, please.
9. There it is.
11.
Okay. So as you're starting to walk in the direction of this rabbit, you do see its tracks, but then for some bizarre reason, this is happening to each of you. As you're walking, it's almost like the light, the natural light in the forest, it starts to strobe. It goes dimmer, and then it brightens back up to what you're used to seeing, and then dimmer again. And you hear like this, like whispering chatter each time the light goes dim. And you start getting this very bizarre feeling in your head, almost as if the pressure has changed and your ears won't pop. So the sounds are even becoming more muffled, and really all you're hearing are those whispers in your head as this is starting to happen. And when you look up, you'll notice that the forest seems to have grown more dense, almost as if it's encroaching in upon you, and that path has become more and more narrow around each of you. And we're going to leave you there as we shift over to Slain and Maurice, tromping through the forest. You both go to Ampa Trompa.
I mean, neither one of us is small. Like, it is not a subtle trail through the forest.
It's not.
It's a good time, though.
Yeah. At some point, Slain would just come out of nowhere and start snapping his fingers, and like little sparks are coming off of him. And he's like, you just seem to be connected with, the powers that be, and all, that kind of thing. Like, something's happened to me since we got here, and I feel like that, like the forest is somehow infecting my magic or something like that. Because all I can look at this, and Slane's gonna stamp his foot, and the roots of the ground will like pull the earth back. As if it were a 5-foot cube of earth, and you kind of like dig a pit. I didn't used to be able to do that. I can also speak to animals, like for real, not just like talk to them, but like understand them. I didn't know. I didn't used to be able to do that either.
Are there any animals around us whatsoever? Can Maurice just do like a quick scan to see if there are any?
You can do a quick nature or perception.
Okay, I think perception is the way to go on that one.
Okay. Whichever's better.
Besides the chicken has a bias. That's
Yes,
a 24.
You got a 24. Yeah, there are animals. There are some birds that are sitting up in the canopy of the trees, chittering away. You do see sort of this, not exactly, full throttle squirrel. It might be more of a chipmunk, but it was moving so fast you couldn't quite tell. But, some forest rodent of some type just went zipping across the path. So there definitely are animals around.
So, yeah, Maurice is not 100% sure how to handle this. So he's just seeing that there's, animals around. So he's just kind of, does this little scan, and the head rotates all the way around. And he comes back to face Slain. And he kind of points to the animals over his shoulders. So you're telling me you understand what they are all saying right now?
I mean, yeah, sure. And Slane's gonna focus his mind on understanding them, and he gets a free speak with animals without casting or without using a slot because of his friend of the forest feat.
Okay.
I think it's like 10 minutes.
Yep. So you're just gonna cast in general and see who you can chitter chatter with.
Yeah.
Okay.
If I
So
had to make a decision.
yes,
Okay,
you had the little chippy monkey thing that went running. You think it's a chipmunk, maybe squirrel, maybe a very small squirrel, or you have the birds up in the tree.
Are you a chipmunk or a squirrel? He's gonna just yell at the chipmunk.
Who's asking?
The Nightwalker, Slane.
And you'll see like this little nose kind of poke out from underneath the undergrowth of one of the bushes, and it's doing that little like snippy thing, which I can't make my nose wiggle, but it's like wiggling its nose, and you see like these little teeth as well.
Nice to meet you.
And out
please
pops this
meet
little, this fat little chipmunk's head pops out, and you see these big brown eyes just sort of like huge, staring back at you, and you can tell its body's trembling just a little bit because, holy crap, this trollkin's speaking to them.
Yeah. It's all right. You don't have to worry about it. I just, showing my friend here, I didn't used to be able to speak with animals like this. I could talk to, animals, talk to them all the time, but they never answered back. And they do now. Like, I can hear you. I understand you.
As this is happening, does Maurice hear Slane speaking in English, or is he just watching Slane chitter back and forth to a squirrel right now?
Oh, I think, let's have some fun with this. It's very much going to be Slane making these
like little body
like
language.
these, almost like a Morse code of chitters. But you can see he's very much engaged, and as he does the chittering sound and stops, the chipmunk is getting more and more comfy and coming out from the undergrowth and making the same chittering sounds back. So there's clearly some form of communication going on. You, however, have no idea what's being said.
Yeah, you like biscuits? Chipmunk,
I won't say no to a free meal.
Yeah, you guys a little waterlogged. And he's got like a camp biscuit,
Like
hard tack.
type of,
Yeah.
So do you just sort of like, are you standing up? Do you get down on your knees to offer it to this little fellow, or?
I mean, if it's up in the tree, I'd offer it up. I'd get down on its level, and leave it not like at its feet, Yeah.
Okay, so you put the tack down, and they'll dodge out quickly and sort of do that quick grab and stand up on their hind legs, and they start like chewing on it and almost like trying to get to the back molars because it's still waterlogged, but it's also still hardtack.
Thanks. This should last me a while. Anything else I can do for you, or are you just trying to prove the point that you could talk to me?
I do have a question now that I got your attention. You see anybody around here with like a giant pumpkin head?
You mean like their head's big like a pumpkin, or that their head is a pumpkin?
Jack-o'-lantern kind of face, like with the cutouts and no light. They wouldn't have a light. Maybe they would. I don't know.
Personally, I have not seen such a type, but I can ask the more nocturnal types if they've seen something.
Well, that's a good point. Maybe I'll ask an owl or something later tonight. But you know what? I would stay, if you see anybody like that, maybe stay out of their way and just stick to the trees and the like.
Noted. Thank you very much for this.
And Maurice, you'll see this little chipmunk holding up the biscuit and like smiling is probably the best way to describe it. But you see like its front teeth get a little bit bigger, and it's making this chittering sound, and it does like this quick little jaunty wiggle, and it zips back underneath into the underbrush and makes its way away from the two of you.
Yeah, there you go.
Consider me convinced. When did you realize you could do this the first time? You just suddenly overheard a conversation between two birds? Or?
I was talking to Henrietta, and she started talking back, And I mean, it was a couple of days ago, but the fire thing is different. It is new, and like yesterday, I couldn't even do that thing with the ground. So I don't know, something weird. And I was just curious if I was cursed, maybe, or if I I maybe crossed the wrong person, or I don't know if you could do like an exorcism or something. Just curious. Seems harmless.
If you wish, I perhaps do some research into rites of cleansing, perhaps. I'm afraid that's not exactly my specialty, but I could learn. That is the best I can offer.
Oh yeah. That sounds great. I mean, I don't want you to go out of your way or anything. If you just could offhand, I don't want to be a burden or anything like that. But I'd appreciate it.
No, not at all, my friend. A learning opportunity is never a burden. I will see what I can find.
Excellent. And he's just gonna whistle his way down and like smooth the road, like the path in front with his mold earth, so that it's nice and even.
Okay, and as you're whistling, these birds above you, they start going, and they start whistling with you because you still have your talk with animals going, and they're kind of thinking, this is a game. Why not?
Oh, yeah.
We can do it too.
Slain is a Disney princess. Okay.
I would guess. All right. I'm going to add that to his title sheet.
Maurice is just going to watch all this, like, trying to comprehend what's happening, and just not...
Yeah, for good
Not
measure,
saying-
a couple have kind of flown down, and they've sort of re-secured a couple of the ties on the back of his pack, and, made sure it's a nice, pretty bow, and they flip back up into the top of the trees.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Why not? You gave that one to me.
There you go.
So the two of you make your way down the path, Slane, making it nice and comfortable for traveling, smoothing out the pathway itself, and having your little animal companions for the next, let's say 5 minutes, sort of chirping here and there and accompanying you in your whistling.
Excellent.
And as it wears off, it sort of goes back to you just hear the normal road calls, and you hear the rustling out in the forest, assuming it was other daytime creatures making their way around, and you're heading off in the direction in which you intended.
Yeah. And I think Slane would allow Maurice to stick with him as long as Maurice wanted. I think when Slane knew he was about an hour away is when he might say, like, hey, here's where I proceed on alone. But otherwise, he's happy to have somebody to chat with and keep him company.
Okay. All right, great. So the two of you, let's see how you do with that one. Let's do survival and see how this journey goes.
Sure.
We die.
11.
11.
I got an unnatural
11.
20.
Unnatural 20 and 11. All right, so for you, Maurice, you actually are taking in the environment around you because this is sort of the first time we've actually had sort of a stroll through the forest as opposed to a straightforward journey, keep going, keep moving, get to where you need to go. And as a result, you sort of start falling a little ways back behind Slane. Slane, you being yourself and being familiar and being a native Margreavian, you're able to make your way through far more nimbly. And you're a Trollkin on a mission, so you're very much fixated and focused on this mission that Pumpkin Jack has given you. And you don't notice Maurice falling behind you so much. And you kind of proceed further ahead to the point where Maurice, you actually don't see Slane because he's kind of ducked behind a couple of bushes ahead of you in the path. You can hear him in the distance, but you've actually fallen a good distance away from him as a result of sort of studying and looking and pondering over things. So I'd like you to give me a perception check, please.
I can do this.
I can do it.
That's a 20.
Whoa.
Dirty 20,
All right,
but a 20.
So, hey, a 20 is a 20. So you do see in the distance these bits of probably tree branches because we are talking about Slane, and Slane, you're like, what, 7, 11 or something like that? Yeah. So you see these tree branches moving, and you can tell that must be where Slane is off in the distance. So you start picking up your pace and making your way in that direction towards him. Since you spotted him, I now would also like you to give me a wisdom check, please.
If it's okay, actually, as soon as Maurice notices that Slane is starting to break away, he would kind of, fall behind further intentionally, sort of figuring that that's sort of Slane's way of, breaking it off, knowing that Slane is awkward about most things. Like, this is where you need to stop following me conversation is probably not exactly gonna either A, be short or B, coherent. So he would just kind of fall behind and nod in Slane's general direction and try to turn around. But with that done, lost as I am, my wisdom save comes to a 12.
Wisdom save comes to a 12. Okay, great. So you're watching these tree branches, moving further and further in distance. You can tell he's making his way, and he's making his way speedily down his given path. And as you're standing there, you start noticing the lights around you. They start to dim a little bit from the natural light, and then it increases back to what it normally was. It's actually almost the opposite of what you noticed happening with Shreg and their dodecahedron. And again, a couple more times, this light fades down and it zooms back up to natural lighting again, and then back down again. And again, you're hearing these, it's not the birds anymore. You're hearing this, just like these generic whispers. They're not coherent. You can't pick up given words yet, but this whispering sound starts surrounding you. And you're feeling this bizarre pressure building up in your system. It's almost as if you have something building up mechanically, where sometimes you like release a steam valve or whatever, but it's not happening for you. It's just this feeling of almost being in a bubble at this point. And when you look back up one more time to sort of see if maybe Slane has been affected by this, he's gone at this point. His distance has been covered where you probably couldn't even call out for him if you wanted to. And as you're sort of taking this all in, once again, the lights dim back down for you and the whispering intensifies. And we're going to leave you here, Slane making his way, and we're going to shift back over to Aowel and Zira. Aowel, as these lights are dimming and these whispers are filling your head, you feel the world around you sort of going dark. You're very much still conscious. You haven't fallen asleep. But in your mind's eye, you find yourself sitting back in this far too familiar room. And it's not exactly a room you find yourself comfortable in. Because if you're here, it means something has yet again gone wrong. And you have been called to the headmistress's office once more. And there you sit in that very uncomfortable, rickety old wooden chair that you swear she purposely keeps lopsided so that you can't exactly sit quietly. Every shift you make makes a ka-chunk sound and a creaking sound. So any nervous fidgeting is extremely obvious. And she's standing there with her pinched features, leaning against her desk, where you see all the accoutrement of a headmistress, stacks of tomes and books, rolls of scrolls, and for good measure, this very large placard, Mistress Oldwick, making sure everyone knows who she is. And she has her arms crossed and her spectacles are balancing on the tip of her very pinched, almost hawk-like nose, with these piercing black eyes staring you down, and she sucks her teeth.
You do realize finals are around the corner, my dear.
I'm pretty sure that's a hard one to miss.
Yes, well, once again, I have been looking over your progress, or lack thereof, should we say. Such a shame.
Go for mine in particular every time. I mean, all these students. Not the only one struggling.
Oh, but my dear, you're the one struggling the most and had yet most promise. You came here starting with a scholarship. You lost it within 2 semesters. Your brother sailed through here, no problem. And if I'm not mistaken, your parents are in a rather precarious position at this point, trying to keep you here.
Yeah.
This is your
Got any
final
notes, Rebel?
warning. Yes, pass these or you're done. That's my note for you. The
Okay.
capabilities are there. That's the infuriating part about you, dear. The talent is under the surface, yet you seem to somehow fumble along and not get there. Some of your professors speak kindly of you and see that you are trying. But at this point, you're on your 5th chance. And I'm tired of doling them out like they were candy. Yes, other students are struggling. Some of them actually get their act together and manage to pass these courses. Others are smart enough to actually call it a day and move along. It's do or die at this point. And if you don't make it through, your parents are still responsible for the fees they have incurred. With interest. Just because you're not here doesn't mean the bills will stop coming. What a waste. What a sad, miserable waste.
And she pushes her glasses up that hawk nose.
Personally, I'm not putting any budging money on you. But others have convinced me to give you this one last shot. So I suggest you pull yourself up by your very thinned out bootstraps. Get yourself some study time. And be sure you're passing every single course. Have I made myself clear?
I don't think you could be much clearer.
Excellent. You can go. Next time I see you, I will either be congratulating you on a miracle, or finally putting this chapter of your life to a close. That rests in your hands, though, dearie.
Go. I'm done with you. And she turns her back on you quite quickly and makes her way back over to a bookcase in the back area. And she's, rifling through, looking for something specific, but she's done. She's not even acknowledging your presence anymore. And you hear the back office door open up, and there stands her secretary, Mr. Pendlewick.
Hey, will. Come this way. Come on,
Yeah.
come on.
Yep.
And as you leave her office and come into the sort of the front area where he has his own little secretariat desk, and it's this tiny little chair, this tiny little desk, and there's not much to it besides a record book and an agenda book. There stands this kindly older gentleman. He has graying mutton chops that go down his jaw, and this thinning hair, and bless his heart, he is trying to hide the fact he is balding, though it's a rather wispy attempt, and every so often a breeze will pick up and you see one of these hairs sort of dance across the top. And once again, his button-down shirt is misbuttoned. There's this lovely little bump around his stomach area where he's kind of bunched up the buttons too far and missed a couple in process, so that his shirt tail is sticking out of the bottom of his pants while the other side is tucked in. And his threadbare blazer, you can see he's put on, and there's that dangling button off the one side and the tear in the elbow on the other. And he too is wearing his spectacles, and they have these, little splotches of fingerprints, and one actually has like this little dot of ink on the one frame. And this gentleman looks at you with nothing but sincere concern for you. So, how did it go, my dear? Oh, she was in a mood.
Yeah. As always. Apparently this is the last chance. Of course, as usual, she has no confidence.
Well, unfortunately, that's the way she seems to work, isn't it? All bluster and orders, but I didn't say this to you, but
I don't think she knows how to actually help her students.
Oh, and oh no. I don't think I've ever noticed her eating sweets or anything. I don't think she knows what anything that's necessarily nice is. Doesn't seem like it. You'd think in all this time I'd have gotten her with some sort of sweet, at least something to indicate that, like, there's something soft in there, but no.
In all my years of working with her, I don't think she's got a sweet tooth in her. Unless she's taken it from someone. And wears it. Which, ooh, maybe she actually does that. Right. I think you can do this. I do. I think you just need to think of a different way of approaching things. Not everyone works the same way, and it happens. But I think you have. I think you have that spark in you. I truly do. I'm cheering for you, at least.
I appreciate that. I think I need to hit the library and start doing some research, though, because you're right. Something here is not working. There's got to be a way.
And he'll take your hands into his, and he does that grandfatherly pat on top of them and a little squeeze. Eoglyph, yours is a face I'd want to keep seeing next semester. All right?
Yeah.
All right.
I'll see what I can do.
You go. Go. I'm cheering you on from here. She may not be, but no one cares about that, really, right? That doesn't matter. And then, almost as if she may have heard something, you hear her screech, "Mr. Pendlewick! Get in here immediately. We need to go over tomorrow's meetings instantly. Now!" And you see him fluster and drop your hands immediately, and he's scooping up that agenda book, and he goes to smooth his hair, but he actually smooths in the opposite direction so that the comb over is now sticking up in full. He's trying to smooth up that jacket, and he goes to button up, and the button pops off, and he's just in a fluster. And as he's quickly going through that door, he sticks his head out one more time. "Best of luck to you, dear. Best of luck." And the door closes quickly, and you hear the familiar screeching voice of the headmistress going through her tirade of what she expects from him. And as you make your way out of her main office area, you can hear this voice, and you know that poor Mr. Pendlewick is sitting there, listening to her tirade and dutifully taking down all of the notes, and probably trying to adjust himself as she's criticizing his appearance and the fact he always looks so slovenly, and why can't he get his act together and show the respect of the position of which he is lucky enough to possess. Where would you go from here?
Library time. I've got some research
so
to do.
In your mind's eye, you start walking towards that familiar path of that familiar building of the library. And we're going to leave AOL there at this point as we shift over to Zira. Zira, you too have noticed this light shifting, and you too as well feel this bizarre barometric shift going on. And for you, the light does get dimmer, but almost instantly perks up into this warm firelight glow. And you're sitting at a very familiar kitchen table. Your family is surrounding you, and your father is sitting at one end, your mother at the other end, and your two brothers across from you. And it's just one of your very simple family dinners. There is a stew, there is some fresh bread that's been baked. Everyone has a cup of a decent ale. Your father does like to brew himself, and he's quite proud of this one he's just recently opened. And you're all sitting there just chattering with each other. In fact, you and your brothers have been bantering back and forth a little bit. But your parents have been a little bit more on the quiet side.
As I reach for a roll, if my brother tries to like grab it from me, I'm gonna kick him in the knee, just being playful.
Okay. Oi, what was that for?
Not sharing the bread. You always get the last piece, and I'm the smallest, so I need the bread.
Yeah, well, I'm the growing one here, yeah. And he tries to straighten himself up to his full, maybe 4 feet if he's lucky in height. And he kind of gets like this cocky grin. I'm going to be the one to, bring this family some fortune and fame sometime. I got to make sure I keep my sustenance coming as it's supposed to and everything like that. Come on.
For the grown one, I would consider your little sister beating you today in the sword fights to be maybe a reason to give me the bread.
No. No. First of all, I let you win. You wanted me to train you.
You did not let me win.
I absolutely so totally let you win, and you know it because, it's good for the confidence building if I won every single time because, you're going to get discouraged, and then what's the point of training you? Because you're going to sit there and sulk, and you're going to go back to mom and dad and pout that I didn't let you get the last fight, and come on, give me the bread, please.
I'm just going to take a huge bite of the bread. You did not let me win. It's like stuffed my mouth full of bread.
Next time you want something from me, see if I help you out. And he grins and he just sort of like keeps eating his stew with this smirk on his face, and Taryn just starts sort of chuckling to himself as he's eating. Meanwhile, your father clears his throat. Lovely that we all get to sit down and have a meal together, isn't it? Quite nice. Quite enjoyable. And your mother sort of nods her head, and it's sort of like this anticipation brewing underneath her smile as well. And she's actually folded her hands next to her plate, and she's looking at you, and her eyes are rather big, staring at you, and she's looking between you and your father, and you and your father, back and forth. And your father actually gets up, which isn't exactly normal for him, and he makes his way over to where you're sitting at the table, and he stands behind your chair, and he puts his hands on your shoulder and just kind of pats them. Zira, my dear girl, I have some news for you today.
Yeah.
It seems you've caught the fancy of a suitor, and he's made his intentions known. He's actually he's made it clear he wants your hand in marriage, and is quite eager for it to happen. Time is of the essence, quite frankly, and he can't wait until the day you are actually his wife. Won't believe who it is either. I mean, this is quite a thing for the family, quite frankly, my dear.
Who?
Well, it's Roeth.
No. I don't want to get married.
Zira, you do realize that this is quite an opportunity for you. For all of us. I mean, this is the type of fellow that any girl in our tribe would be thrilled to have as a husband. He's known. He's got means. You'd never go hungry. You'd have whatever you want.
But you guys have heard the rumors. Mother, you've heard the rumors. He's dangerous, he's mean, he's ruthless.
Sometimes they have tempers, and I haven't heard of him doing any harm to, those of a more weaker disposition. It seems he just sort of takes his anger out on those who encounter him at the local tavern, and again, they're just rumors. I haven't seen it for myself. Have you?
I mean, I've seen and heard what he does to people. Their faces, you've seen black eyes and scars on people from cutting and in fights.
Yes, well, those are fights. I mean, brawls happen and people get injured. It's a thing. But he spoke so highly of you.
Can't I just hunt with my brothers? I mean, I can eat myself. I can sell the furs. I can... They're teaching me. I'm learning.
And you see your parents make this very concerned look over your head, and your brothers have actually at this point almost hunkered down a little bit because they know they're sort of going against the usual tradition by teaching you what they have. And your parents are looking at each other concerned that you have even expressed that you want to go against the grain and become more of a hunter than anything else, because that is not in any way, shape, or form how things are done. In fact, where you are from, most girls are expected to get married and have their families and be the doting, considerate, obedient wife.
How about we find somebody else and then I'll settle down, and just not him.
And you see your father, he sort of rubs the back of his neck and puffs out his cheeks with this heavy breath. Zira, he's the only one. No one else has expressed... No one else has expressed any interest in marrying you. They've heard you're a little bit more exuberant and adventurous. And you can tell he's very much trying to be diplomatic about the words he's using.
I don't have to get married. The family would be fine.
Zira, we're not as fine as you may seem to think we are. The crop did not do so well. And it will be tight for us for a while, because the crop last year wasn't so good either. I've already taken out a loan, and its payment is due very soon. The resources are...
I'll go get more furs with my brothers. I'll...
Zira. And you can see his jaws clenching, which for your father is really not in the norm. Zira, this is not an option. You will be marrying Roeth. I've already signed the contract. It's done. You are to be his wife. You are to be his in a month's time.
In a month?
In a month. He's promised to take care of us and to take care of you.
I mean, I want to help.
If this doesn't happen, we will have no home. We will lose everything but the clothes on our back. Selfishly, I tried to hide this all from you. I didn't want you and your brothers worrying about adult things. But unfortunately, the fates have turned their backs on us, and quite frankly, this is our only way out. But he has promised me, without question, you will have the finest things in life. You will have the best goods in your home. You will have servants to do your bidding. You can come and visit us whenever you want.
I'll have servants and jewels with black eyes. They go well together, right, Dad?
You don't know that I haven't seen a single woman emerge from there with bruises. He just has that temper when he goes out drinking.
I guess I don't have a
It
choice.
happens. Sarah, please understand. You're helping all of us. Myself, your mother, your brothers.
I mean, I can't let you guys suffer from what I don't want, so I guess.
And your mother, she leans across the table and she takes your hand and she gives it this squeeze. And she looks at you with this pleased and somewhat sad look in her eyes, as if she's realizing her little girl is growing up and making big decisions. But then as you look across the table, you see in both of your brother's eyes this flashing anger and fury boiling underneath. And where your father's jaw was clenched when you told him no, you can hear the grinding of each of their teeth at the fact that this is something panning out. And your brother Ter makes eye contact with you and makes a very, very clear point of saying slowly and audibly to everyone, he lays a hand on you, he's dead. And that phrase echoes inside your head, Zira, as it all goes dim again. And it's been a month's time and you find yourself sitting in your lovely room of finery, wearing the loveliest of outfits, servants bringing you your every whim, with Roeth looming over you, eyes flashing in rage. And we're going to leave you there as we phase over to Maurice. Maurice, as you stand there, attempting to get the light to make sense, stumbling over some rocks that are clacking against your form, you start to see this figure in front of you, like maybe about 10 feet. And it's almost as if it's taking shape out of thin air. And as you're looking at it, you're realizing this is someone you've seen before. It's ringing some very dim bells for you, and there in front of you stands this rather middle-aged man, a portly build, He's balding. There are wrinkles along his eyes, and he has the laugh lines framing his puckered mouth. He's neither well dressed, but he's not poorly dressed either. And there's just sort of a soft, knowing smile upon his face as he's gazing back at you. And this figure steps towards you a couple of paces. And it's almost this look of wonderment as you hear your own voice come out in awe. It actually happened.
Do I recognize what I'm looking at?
You do.
Then Maurice would kind of take like a half step back, and then like that gesture itself would be done with like the reverse knee, so it's just kind of like a lifted and then placed, and then just kind of realizing how he made the gesture would sort of make him look down, and then look back across towards the portly older man, and kind of realize that I guess he's being a little bit silly, and take a step forward instead, and sort of greet the situation head on, and just kind of nod. You could say that, yes, it happens. Here I am. More interestingly, here you are.
Did we do it?
We did.
Was it successful? All
I
that
hope so.
work, was it successful?
I'd like to believe that it was. I certainly hope so. And Maurice would kind of sort of stare at this fellow and wish that his face was more malleable, more able to convey emotion as he kind of tries to... Yeah.
And this form is looking at you with absolute awe, just taking it all in. I remember the mechanical form on the table and looking it over. I mean, it was very much stress. This was if it got to this point, things were significant.
You could say that. Significant, dramatic, explosive, problematic, and, as you say, it got to that point. And here we are.
Lavi didn't tell me that I'd look like this, though. I thought it'd be more humanoid.
Sometimes it is, other times not so much. It's somewhat malleable. Can Maurice try to force a change?
Oh, roll a d20. Straight up d20 roll. Let's see what you get. I'm
You know
gonna
what?
give this a 16.
Ooh.
If you get above a 16, yes.
Oof. Oof, that's a big 5. Should have rolled the real dice.
Ooh.
Punished. Punished.
Yeah, don't do that. So you attempt to shift back into the more standard Maurice form, we'll call it. But unfortunately, because you have just recently shifted over in honor of Hulda, it's not something easily coming towards you. In fact, it almost seems like you're tapping in a little bit too much, because not only did you just shift to honor Hulda, but you also did tap into yet another god's assistance when fighting at the river. So it's not that the gods aren't on your side, it's more that they're a little bit tired.
What have you done
As
for
well.
me lately, kind of thing. I see it. I see it.
Yeah, it's like you may need to make a couple of homages and sacrifices. Just a little hint right there for you, my dear.
Don't want to make you one with eternity.
Yeah, there you go. So you attempt to do it, and this figure in front of you, you can see that they're sort of absorbing it and just looking at you, amazed and agape. And the eyes squint as if they're trying to see, are you going to be able to do this? What's going on here? And after about let's say maybe a minute of trying, you hear the clacking of all of your joints falling back into place, still in the form of a more Alcide type look than that of a human form as he had mentioned seeing on the table. The metal man, if you will.
Suffice it to say that it is more freeing than you might think to be made of many rigid pieces, just not at this particular moment.
I don't know what to say. Has it been a good life for you? Was this the right thing
It
for
has
us?
been an interesting one. And really, what more can you ask for?
And he gives a chuckle. And he's almost tilting his head the same way you do, and the mannerisms you can see are familiar to you, but far more fluid, less mechanical, as this is happening in front of you. And you see him kind of sigh, just that sort of coming to acceptance that yes, what was intended panned out, though the outcome not exactly sure for either of you. And he walks towards you and reaches out his hand as if to almost touch you in disbelief, make sure you're actually real. And as he is reaching out towards you, I would like you to give me a strength save, please.
Oh dear. This is where things take a turn for the terrible.
Mm-hmm.
That is a nat 1.
Okay. So as this creature reaches out to you, you feel almost as if the energy of your source is stuttering and beginning to fade. And the world around you starts going dark. And this form in front of you is no longer Maurice. It is this shadowy creature of an ambiguous humanoid form with this very broad grin. And you hear, gotcha. And we're going to leave you there as we go over to Slain.
Mm-hmm. He's whistling in the woods.
Slain, our Disney princess, who just chatted with a chipmunk and whistled with the birds, tromping his way through, on his way to grandmother's house.
Yeah, on his way to grandma's house. Yeah.
Okay. So, Slain, what does it look like on your way through the Margreave as you're making your way towards a familiar-ish location?
Yeah. So once Slain realizes that he's alone, he will start moving in a more, I guess, rangerish fashion. He'll dispense with the, leveling out the ground, and will actually probably leave the game trail for a while, or do something to at least cover his tracks. And if it's night,
I totally have Mission Impossible. It's like late afternoon.
Okay. In that case, I'll have Noname stick around, but just let them know, you might want to not follow me all the way and just like find a safe place to hold up. I'll be back. And if not, just don't worry about it. Remember me fondly.
And you see Noname just sort of do their familiar flickering, and when you add that last little bit, the light intensifies and it starts flickering, almost like if Noname was angry. Noname is angry right now.
That was a joke. I just am bad at jokes, Noname. I should be all right. It's Grandma. It should be fine. It might be a while though before you see me, so wait around as long as you feel like you got to, but not forever or anything.
And Noname like zooms up right in front of your face, like inches. And if Noname had features, you probably were getting a very stern look, but you can just tell by its light language. They're not exactly thrilled at this idea of you heading off by yourself, but there's sort of this little huff of emotion, and Noname flits off to a tree on the side and just sort of sulks.
Yeah. Slane is actually touched, and it'll be all right. It'll be fine. Don't worry about it, and we'll be fine. And he's gonna tough guy it through the woods.
Okay. Give me you can do survival or nature as you're wandering, because this is the Margreave, and the direction you're going and where you were heading. Let's just say it gets a little bit more defensive.
Mm-hmm. That is going to be nice. A 19.
All right, so you
survival.
have those lovely boots on your feet, given to you by grandmother. In fact, it's probably these boots that are helping you get to your destination without issue. And as you're tromping through in your Slane-like way, you do find yourself standing at a very familiar clearing, where you see this circle of a fence line made of very interesting material. Human bones have been lashed together to create a fence. Every so often there's a skull that's sort of stuck on top of one of them, like a finial. Some of them even seem to have like a candle inside of them to act as a lamp post, if you will. And behind this enclosure of the human bone fence, or humanoid bone fence, you first notice these rather immense chicken feet that lead up to a rather ragtag cottage of no windows, really no entirely visible door. But this is a cottage that is familiar to you. What would you like to do?
Slane is going to approach in whatever the formal fashion is. He knows it'd be ridiculous to try to sneak in or anything like that, and so he's going to approach the hut as if he's supposed to be here, as if he were a guest.
Okay. And as you start
walking these skulls.
Okay, as you start walking closer, you remember your grandmother's chatting to you. Bless you. Remember your grandmother's chatting to you in the back garden behind the kitchen where you lived, making a point of saying,
"Now do remember, dear, there are certain ways to get her attention respectfully. She doesn't just let anyone in, of course."
Yeah, sure.
Always remember. Remember, if you don't say this, she's not going to let you in. All right? Turn your back to the forest. Your front to me. Say it.
All right.
Turn your back to the forest. Your front to me.
Turn your back to the forest, your front to me.
There's a good boy.
and she pats the top of your wee little head, which for a young trollkin is probably about her height at this age, but you are definitely a younger child in this memory. And as you get closer and closer to this hut, and you see these chicken legs in front of you, that memory flashes back into your mind quite vividly.
Mm-hmm. I think probably this is the first time Slane's been here proper. Maybe he's always met grandmother in his dreams or along the way somewhere, and he all right, Henrietta, you just keep it cool, and don't say anything stupid. And he's going to approach is there a gate in the fence?
Oh, there's a gate.
All
There's
right.
a gate.
He'll approach
two heads on either side. Well, not heads, but skulls.
Yeah.
That'd be very macabre.
And he'll look at whichever one seems official, the left one, if there's a choice, and turn your back to the forest and your front to me.
The gate's actually swinging as it is.
Oh, okay, that's great. Can I just go in? Then he's like opening the gate, kind of walking in.
So you open the gate, and it's almost as if the chicken legs sort of... What is this with the backwards knees? The backwards form of these, fold up on themselves, and the cottage comes more towards your level. And there's this porch that you can walk up to, but again, oddly, you don't see windows or a door on the porch area. In fact, the whole thing's like closed up, clapboard, old wood, slapshod type of situation.
It look like anybody's home. And he'll try just go up to and knock on the door, and maybe try to peek into a window, see how, like, if there's a gap or anything between the boards.
There's no window. There's no window. There's no doors.
Oh, that's right. There's a window. So there's a door, at least?
No.
Oh. All right. He's going to go up on the porch, and he's just going to start poking around, feeling the walls, and,
Okay.
just sort of talking about, like, come here, Grandma, and just,
Okay, give me an investigation. Give me an investigation.
All right. Here we go. Hey, 15.
Okay, with the 15, you see that collected on this porch are some odd baubles, a couple of broken rocking chairs. For some reason, there is a collection of broken axe heads, just sort of piled up on each other. Some of them do have some dried blood. That's a story for another day. And there's also some bone piles and some twine and lashings more towards the front of the porch. This must be where, grandmother keeps the supplies to fix the fence should anything happen to it. But you're finding no immediate entry, no sign of any type of door or window. But you do hear your grandmother's once again repeating that phrase.
Oh, okay. He's gonna stand this time at the porch, the hut. All right. Turn your back to the forest, your front to me.
And as you say this smoke-like colored mist starts burning, almost like looks like as if the wood were burning, but you don't see a physical flame of any sort. And you see the smoke-like mist emerging out from the seams of what now turns into a front door with a brass knob in the shape of a human skull.
Well, if there's no, if there's no knocker or anything, or he doesn't remember anything like that, he's gonna test the door. Like, he's gonna go to the door. No, that's a rule. And, well, Henrietta, I guess, if I die, this is it. And he wants to like tap the door, like you might if it was like hot or something before, like test it before he.
Sure. just give it a quick little perception check then.
Mm-hmm. 9.
I mean, it
Perception.
feels like a door. There's a slight warmth to it, but doesn't feel like there's a fire behind her or anything like that.
Grandma always likes boldness and decisiveness, so he walks right in. He's like, "Hey, Grandma."
And you do. And as you take that skull doorknob into your hand and you turn it and you open that door, the door swings open freely. And in you come into the front room, this very discombobulated, organized room. And to say that a hoarder lives here would be rather kind. It is a collection of the oddest oddities you could find. You see things like shrunken human heads dangling from the area off to your left. You see a pile of what must be armor, some of it actually looking quite nice, collected in another area, though not exactly organized. And you see that in front of you there is a table littered with various mortars and pestles. There are some herbs hanging above it. There is a bookcase in the back that has various bottles and jars of unctions and ointments and all of that loveliness. And tucked back in the shadows in one of the corners, there is a rocking chair that is rocking back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.
Empty.
What would you like to do?
Is the rocking chair empty?
Well, its back's to you, so you couldn't tell.
I can see. He's gonna now. Grandma, I'm here. I came to visit. I brought you a present.
Ashley, darling, is that you?
Oh yeah, it's me. It's me. Yep. Mm-hmm.
And the rocking chair stops rocking, and up stands the very familiar form of Baba Yaga. And she's got a very controlled smile on her face. In fact, she's kind of doing this. It's so nice to see you, dear Slane. How are the boots doing for you, darling?
Oh, they're great. They're really wonderful. I love this place. I ran into somebody and tell me if I should stay away from them or whatnot. But well, first off, here's my present, and he's gonna pull out the Shelly coat.
Okay.
This is the first. This is the first thing came off the thing I ever killed in anger. I figured you might like it.
And as you put this on the table, you hear her sort of giggle in glee, and her hands leave her mouth. And as her hands disengage from her mouth, and you hear her going, "Oh, lovely!" out pop her iron jaws, clicking and clacking. And they land on the table, and they almost about face towards her, and they're just opening and closing menacingly at her. And she's now got no teeth in her mouth, but she's still quite happy with the Shellycoats. Don't you mind them. They have a mind of their own every so often, my dear. But this is lovely. Tell me how you got it.
Well, we were crossing this bridge, and this thing jumps out at us, and I'd asked our guide, like, is there something here that's going to get us? And he was like, nah. And I was like, nah, I don't think so. And, I was in front, and, I had at that time I had my claws. I didn't have any other weapons with me. So I just laid into it with my teeth and claws. And there's a lot of us there, but, I really got a good, well, it was really fun. I liked it,
And she's looking at you with pretty much the streak of absolute pride with the story that you shared. And the iron jaws have actually turned towards you. And if they had lips to grin, they'd probably be grinning. But right now there's sort of just this open mouth, like excited pose. So both Iron Jaws and Baba Yaga are quite happy with hearing this story. And she picks up the Shelly coat, and she's admiring it. And she's very much caught by the shiny trinkets and everything. So you're telling me this is your first anger kill? Is that so, my dear boy?
Yeah, there's animals and the like. That's just, because you got to eat or. But yeah, I didn't mean to do it. I figured it would be, you wouldn't I guess I figured you'd be more mindful about it, but before I knew it, he was dead. So,
That's
I think,
how it usually. Nah. I'm proud of you, my boy. This is how it usually should happen. Blood on your hands. And you brought me the prize.
Yeah,
Tell me, what brings you?
Oh, yeah, that reminds me. Do you know someone with a pumpkin for a head, like carving a face and no candle?
I have no idea what you mean.
And she puts the cloak down and she kind of turns her back towards you and goes to put the cloak away. Meanwhile, the iron jaws, they clap shut and they pivot from looking at you to looking over at her, and they actually start after her, almost as if they're clacking in the side of her ear. And
no, just leave me alone. No, you've made it very clear we're not getting along today. Just stop it. Stop it!
And she's getting irritated with the jaws, and the jaws actually come back over to you, and they're right in front of you, almost frantically.
So he's gonna try to he wants to try to ask questions so that the jaws could make a confirmation, but he's gonna talk to Baba Yaga. It makes it so okay. So you ever seen anything that might have belonged to this pumpkin-headed person around? Then have you? And he's paying attention to the jaws.
Okay. As you're asking her this, she has made a point of sort of going around the corner. There must be another room because this is her hut, and kind of like the TARDIS, folks, there's more to it on the inside than there is on the outside. So she's gone around the corner, and you can hear her voice, calling back to you. She's trying to put this lovely coat away somewhere.
I have no idea what you're talking about, my dear boy. How's the butch doing for you? Do you like the butch? The butch are good, yes?
Oh, yeah, please.
And as she's saying this, the jaws are... I'm sorry, I just got this mental image that has me cracking up in my mind. They're kind of doing like this clacking hop. So as they open, they're hopping towards you on the table. And they close shut and they swing themselves pointing towards the corner where those hanging heads are.
Then he would like to be as quiet as he can be and see if he can go over there and investigate. Oh, yeah. You remember how I take my, that I take the drink, right? Yeah.
Absolutely, dear boy. Do you still want that lovely clover honey in it, or would you like the mulberry honey?
The mulberry, please.
And I just remember it tells you purple.
Yeah, I think it's pretty funny.
You can absolutely roll and do a stealth check. However, you are at a disadvantage because this cottage, this lovely Baba Yaga hut, it's an obstacle course of trinkets and bottles.
Let's see. Well, luckily, I get double proficiency in stealth thanks to Grandma's boots. So hopefully that will help. So it is with disadvantage?
Yes, please.
All right. Let's see. Oh, that would have been a 27. Instead is a 17.
Well, a 17, I don't know what that is. That's a new number. So with a 17 in Baba Yaga's hut, you are still able to sort of make your way over, but your hip does catch this odd pile of, you don't even know quite what this is. It was making a jingling sound when you hit it. And you do hear a voice go, "Careful, I got some new inventory I still need to put away, dear Slane."
Oh, yeah. It looks like you got some good herbal stuff over here.
Yes, and then some.
And you hear her kind of go, that little cackle of hers that she has going. But you are able to make your way over to that corner area where the iron jaws were clacking. And they have actually, in your stealth, they followed behind you. And you can tell they're trying to move quietly too. So that they're doing their hop clack, but they're trying to keep it with your footfall. So it almost just sounds like your footsteps going along with. So you were standing in this corner, and why don't you give me, it's up to you. You can do an investigation if you want to give it a really close look. You can give me perception. You could also give me an arcana. if you'd rather do that.
Ooh, I swapped out my Arcana proficiency for something else,
Oh,
but
darling.
I I would love to I'd love for Slam to sort of quiet himself and call upon his spirit ancestors as he does from time to time, and he'll make
I love
that
it.
perception check with advantage.
Beautiful.
And that is going to be a 22.
Okay. With a 22, your eyes are taking in everything that is shoved into this corner. Like there are these hanging heads of disturbingly various sizes. So it means, you have shrunken heads of humanoids and probably some giants and probably some other creatures as well. Underneath, there are these stacks of scrolls that have been shoved haphazardly into these various baskets. You also have a couple of crates, and standing on top of one of these crates, there is a lantern with a candle that is burning quite brightly, whereas there is no other candle that is lit in this area.
Are there other candles here? Like at all?
Yeah, there are a couple. There were a few on the table. Tallow candles, kind of halfway burned. There was one by her rocking chair, but this one's in a specific lantern hidden away, not being used as a light source.
Ah, okay. Then he would like to, if it's not a magical flame, he could try to control it and begin to gradually dim it.
Are you going to try and do that?
Yeah.
You
It's
cannot.
just a somatic component. Okay.
No, this flame holds true and bright and steady.
It's in a lantern.
Mm-hmm. It's a candle and a lantern.
He's going to look at it. How big is it? Could it fit in his bag?
It's in a standard lantern, so you could feasibly tuck it into your bag.
And not set it on fire. He's going to think about it. How can he get a gauge for where Abba is at in terms of preparing this drink?
How long it would take to prepare the tea?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, just let's do a medicine check. See if you recall how long it takes to brew this particular tea.
Let's see.
Since we don't have a cooking check.
Oh, right. That's a 12.
I mean, it's a basic cup of tea. It does take a little bit longer to steep to make sure the flavors carry through to your liking. But you probably have another good 2 minutes left.
He is going to take the lantern, put it in his bag, and leave Henrietta. Grandma, I just remembered something. I forgot. I got to be somewhere out east. You know what? I'll have to take a rain check on that tea. I love you. And he's going to try to leave.
Oh, you're going to have to do a sleight of hand first to make sure that lantern goes into the bag without the candle doing something.
All right. Is there anything I can do to improve my chances? I do not think so. Here we go, dice gods. I got a +3. 14?
Okay. You are able to pick up this lantern. It does make a slight rusty handle sound as you lift it up, and it swings a little bit. The flame of the candle does flicker and intensify slightly. But once you're able to sort of like put your hand underneath it, you realize this doesn't produce heat. Well, it does produce light. It's not producing heat like a normal flame would on a candle.
Okay.
So you are able to tuck it into your bag. And Henrietta is clucking up a storm, rather miffed to be.
Shrug, sorry.
Yeah, this poor thing saw the bloody axe heads. She's seen the pile of bones. She's seeing the things hanging from the ceiling, some of which are herbs, some of which may be of a different nature. So give me a stealth check and see if you can get out of here with Henrietta clacking and cluttering away. And I'm actually going to give you advantage because the jaws have worked their way over to the door and has actually started to open it up for you already.
Thank you, Iron Jaws. Oh, oof. 16.
Okay, with the 16, you are just able to tiptoe your way out. Once again, your hip does bump that pile of whatever is in that collection. But because Henrietta is clucking so loudly, and because the jaws have actually started clacking loudly and making their way towards Baba Yaga, and you hear her shouting, "I know you're not happy with me, but you know what? Maybe we just need some time apart today." And you are able to work your way back out, close the door behind you, and as that door shuts, it disappears. And as you step off the porch, the legs lift it back up again. And you make your way back away from grandmother's house.
As soon as he's out of the clearing, he starts booking it. Like Slane will run as fast as his 18 Kong will carry him.
Okay, and you have the boots to help you with that as well, so you were able to make your way through. And Slane is last seen chickenless with a lantern shoved in his pack. And we're going to phase back over as we fade away from Slane in retreat to Eowil, standing in front of this library, having just left the headmistress's office with the encouragement of her secretary and his faith in you. What would you like to do?
I'm gonna start researching. There's got to be another way to do this stuff.
And the library's cat is very much keeping you company as you're going through the stacks upon stacks and trying to get things to pull together. And oddly, this cat seems to be dancing around a certain area of the library which you've never really explored. And it seems almost insistent as it starts rubbing its chin along the edge of this particular shelf and flicking its tail excitedly as they do. And its meows become a little bit more insistent and persistent as it keeps looking towards you.
I'm gonna guess this cat knows what it's talking about.
Well, I'm guessing so, because, you know.
And
there you go.
I still haven't managed that one either, so I'll listen to this cat. Maybe this is my familiar. I don't know. How's this stuff work?
So you come over to this particular bookcase, and I'd like you to give me an Arcana check.
Okay. 17.
All right, so you're looking at these various tomes. Some of them you've heard of before in your classes. The names seem rather familiar. And as your gaze pans across the various collections of books on this particular shelf and go higher and higher up, you see in the upper left-hand corner this rather interesting book. It's not as thick as the others. Could almost be a pamphlet, quite frankly. Easily lost if it weren't for the fact that your eyes cannot help be drawn towards the shadowy aura that it seems to possess around it.
I'm gonna reach for it. Pull it down.
Okay. So you reach for it, you bring it down, and let's do another Arcana check, please.
There it is. That's a 5. That was a bad one.
5. Okay.
I called it, didn't I? I said, I'm running out. It's going to happen.
You did. You absolutely did. So as you pull this book to you, the cat starts to actually hiss and spit and is backing away. And it runs away. It goes from wanting to help you to being extremely agitated at what you just grabbed. And in your distraction of looking at this cat in retreat, your hand absentmindedly opens up the cover of this book, and you suddenly feel yourself inextricably pulled into it.
Oh, okay.
It's fascinating you. It is intriguing you. You feel this insistent need to get back to your room immediately, because this may be the answer to all of your problems.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna think the cat's just tripping balls, apparently. First it wants me to follow it, and then it yells at me.
Okay. So do you head back to your room?
Yep.
All right. As you retreat out of the library, what you don't see is this other book on the opposite side of that same upper shelf, glowing these comforting, warm hues of light, almost like Aurora Borealis, with this pulsing heartbeat of a glow, which dim the further away you get. And that cat is sitting there, twitching its tail, looking up at that particular book. And you just kind of see it huff and wrap its tail around its front feet and hang its head as you make your way back to your dormitory with this dark tome in hand. And now we're going to phase over to Zira. Zira, you are sitting there, and Roeth, you can smell the alcohol on his breath. You can see that his clothes are rumpled, and you know, just from past experiences, he has once again left the tavern. Most likely he has gotten into a fight or is looking for a fight. And he's looming over you, spittle collecting in the corners of his mouth, growling fiercely. I paid a good bride price for you, wench. When are you going to learn to get in line and do as you're told? And you can feel the spittle hitting your face as he's fuming at you in anger.
I'm sorry, I don't know what I did.
You were supposed to invite the mayor and his wife here for dinner tomorrow.
I'll invite them in the morning. It'll be okay.
That's not good enough. That was supposed to happen a week ago. Do you realize what an embarrassment you are to me, woman?
And he raises his hand high above him, fist white-knuckled, ready to swing at you. When the door to your room opens, and there stands your brother Taryn, sword drawn, a very familiar-looking sword drawn, eyes flashing in fierce protective anger. Lay one hand on her, and that'll be the last swing you ever make, you coward. And as Roeth turns towards your brother, this gleeful grin comes across his face as he draws his own sword and lunges towards Taryn. And the last thing you see is both lunging towards each other, both furious for very different reasons. And you see the red pooling on Taryn's shirt, growing at an alarming rate as the light in his eyes go out and he slumps down on Roeth's sword, which he pulls out with a sickening, sucking sound. And Taryn's sword clatters onto the ground at your feet.
I'm gonna run to Taryn, like lay his head in my lap, and look up at Rowan. What did you do?
Took out the garbage. He's been a problem ever since we've gotten married. Good riddance.
And he actually spits on him.
Stop. He's better than you could ever even imagine being.
And this laugh starts to gather in his chest. No one's ever going to be as good as I am. And the sooner you learn that, you worthless little wench,
the better it'll be for you. I've been too kind to you, my dear. I think it's time you got a good lesson tonight. First thing you're gonna do is take this trash out. And he kicks your brother's shoulder.
I'm gonna grab the sword and stand up.
And as you stand up, sword in hand, you face Ruth, who does have some height on you as well as some heft. And there's this look of almost shock crossing his face. This is not something he's familiar seeing, especially not from a woman. Someone standing with such determination and confidence in their eyes as you hold this familiar sword in hand, sword that your brother Taryn trained you with. What are you gonna do? Kill me? And he holds his arms out, mocking you. And he actually tosses his sword aside. I bet you can't even scratch me.
I'm gonna, just like tears running down my face, blood on my hands from my brother. I hate you. You've ruined my life. You've ruined my family.
Pretty words from a pretty toy. I knew you didn't have it in you. And he puts his arms down and he's sort of like wiping the blood of your brother off on his pants with very little care or concern. Get it out of here. And clean up the blood when you're done. And he starts to walk away from you, laughing.
As
Very
he's
much
laughing,
okay.
I'm gonna lunge for him at treating my brother like trash with the sword.
Okay. Roll, and I'm going to give you advantage on this one. With the surge of adrenaline.
19.
How does this play out, Zara?
I feel like maybe in all of my rage and sadness, when I lurch for him, it's not very graceful. I kind of trip over my brother a little bit, trip towards him. So he probably realizes that I'm coming after him. And then, if I'm remembering it, he has time to reach for his sword. And as he slices down, it comes across the front of my face and slices my face open as I plunge the sword into his chest. And then I just sit on the floor crying for hours, holding my brother.
And as you recall the feeling of your brother's weight in your arms, the body growing colder, the familiar warmth that used to emerge from him, going further and further away from you, it grows dark in your mind's eye. And as you come to, you find yourself kneeling on the forest floor, cradling the body of the dead rabbit that AOL managed to kill.
Tears are running down my face again, and I pull out the sword of my brother's that I kept. It's a nice sword. My brother was a respected fighter, and I kind of run my hands over the griffin that's the handle of it and kind of clean it off and stick it back in to the carrier on my back and kind of stand up, wipe my knees off, kind of shake off those feelings that I was weak and not strong enough. but it's eating at me inside that I was weak and I was not strong enough, and I let them scare me, and I let people put me in a situation I didn't want to be in.
And as you're coming to and you slide your sword back into its sheath, you see Aowol standing there with this dazed look on her face, with this shadowy creature standing in front of her, about to reach out and touch her. And we're going to phase back over to Maurice, who is now facing a very similar creature in front of him, reaching out to you. And you snap to and you realize that this is not your form. This is not your former self. This is something that somehow has tapped into your latent memories almost. And it's quite frankly out to get you, literally, by reaching out to touch you. What would you like to do?
So, has it already touched me? Like, was that what failing the strength save was?
It is close enough where you can almost see some of your energy sort of feeding into its reached out hand.
Feeding into it. Okay, I don't like that.
Not like
and
nope.
Yeah, and this guy looks probably somewhat close to the thing that floated out of our poor guide not too long ago.
Pardon me. Mm-hmm.
Maurice is gonna pull out the mace and the shield, and he's gonna go for it. He's gonna start winding up. He's gonna, like, all the gears are gonna start going. He's gonna stand his ground and get ready to fight this thing, I think.
Okay. Well, tell you what, roll for initiative.
Okay. Time to lose to one single ghost, because I have no friends. 19 initiative. Maybe maybe won't be that bad.
You get to go first because I've got a lovely 5.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so not knowing what this thing is, Maurice is probably going to start off with a big old guiding bolt. So the gears in his body start turning. He starts kind of glowing that reddish orange, sort of gradually building to white light, and then it is just going to streak right out of his body towards this creature. So that is a ranged spell attack.
I was gonna say, let's see what you get.
I think I macroed it. Oh, I so did. 17.
You absolutely hit with a 17.
Beautiful.
Not a problem.
That'll be 16 radiant damage, please and thank you.
You're quite welcome. So as this guiding bolt comes out, what does it look like?
It's just a beam of like white hot light, in the sense that it looks almost like fire, but it's just like a radiant surge of power that just crackles and sort of dances out from his heated core, and it almost looks like it crawls through the air as it blasts into this creature.
Okay, and as this creature takes on this blast, you actually see the shadowy form of it almost separate where the blast has hit it, and it's having a very difficult time reknitting itself back together from whatever matter it's made out of. It seems somewhat ephemeral. You can sort of see through it. It's more shadow than it is physical form. And the wide grin that had been on its face is definitely pulled in on itself now. And the intensity in its gaze has certainly faded, and it is not looking too great. However, it is going to try and go for you now that you have caused it some injury. And once again, it's reaching out towards you. Does a 6 hit?
A 6 does not hit.
Okay, so in attempt to try and pull more energy from you, you have done enough damage to it where it's sort of thrown it off its own game, and it cannot make the contact necessary. It is back to you.
So it is falling apart. It's presumably right in front of me. I am still pretty low on spell slots from our fight with the creepy witch. Let's... light damage is it seems to be the way to go, the radiant damage. I hate to say it, but I think we're just gonna stick with what works. Seeing this thing fall apart under the force of the guiding bolt, he's just gonna kind of like tighten his grip on his weapons and double down, kind of hunkering his position in and trying to blast even more light. So let's go
Okay.
for another guiding bolt. Oh, that's only gonna be an 8.
An 8 will
Shouldn't have
not
done it.
hit. And
Shouldn't have
as you
done
go
it.
to send out this guiding bolt, almost as if to mock you, this form goes from a shadowy, undescribable, well, nondescriptive form. Let's use that word instead. And once again, you're staring at yourself with this look of sort of shock and hurt and disbelief at you. And you hear your own voice going, "What are you doing? Why are you doing this to me? How could you do this to me?" And it starts to reach out towards you in its form of you. Oh, it's not rolling well, and that got a 10.
A 10 will not hit.
Okay, so again, it's trying to reach out to you. Now it looks like your human self again. What would you like to do? It's back to you.
I would say to it, I am trying to forget you. And then that would be Toll the Dead. So a wisdom save from it, please.
A wisdom save. Oh, this will be interesting. It got an 11.
Okay, so that is going to be a fail. That's going to be...
Okay.
Watch this be like 2 necrotic damage. 6 necrotic damage. That's not bad.
6. Okay, 6 necrotic damage. So as this necrotic damage comes towards it, you see more of itself seem to almost evaporate away. The shadow is becoming a smaller form and peeling off and just dissipating into the air. And any light behind its eyes is now looking far more dim, and it is no longer in the form of your human self. It has actually gone back to that nondescript shadow form. I need to just do some quick mathing right here, and that, ooh, yeah, it's definitely not looking well at all at this point. So it is going to try once again to reach out to you. And it got a 10, which I know does not hit you. So it does not hit, and it is back to you, Maurice, with these very lucky bad guy rolls.
So seeing it kind of slowly starting to fall apart, and presumably feeling like he's on the right path, he's just gonna hit it with a word of radiance. So he's gonna kind of like keep that sort of heat and energy growing around himself as his gears are still like spinning up a frenzy. And rather than swing with the mace, he's just gonna kind of put his arms out wide and blast it with a little crackle of radiant light. So it would be a con save, or 1d6.
Con save. I got a 7.
One whole damage.
One measly point. Okay, but you do see it almost seems to lose even more of its form. It is but a wisp at this point. It is going to actually try to retreat, giving you an attack of opportunity.
Oh, let me read this mace real quick. You know what? That would be a bonus action, not attack of opportunity anyhow. So, let's just swing it.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. Wrong macro. Wrong macro.
No, it's fine. And what you get on
I
that one?
heard the beep, but I don't see it on my screen just yet.
Yeah, same.
Oh, wait, no, there we
situation.
go. That's a 9.
You got a 9? Okay. A 9
Yes.
will not hit. So this creature essentially is going to use its turn to disappear into the distance of the forest. However, it is not coming after you again. You have injured it to the point where it wants nothing to do with you anymore. And you see its form just go all the way into the distance. And as it's going off in the one direction, you hear a familiar tromping coming from the other. And you see those tree tops moving at a familiar height as well. And within minutes, slain, you are emerging back out to where Maurice is standing there looking back and forth between where this creature had gone, back to you, back to where this creature had gone. And we're going to fade back over to Aoel, still in something of a stupor with this shadowy figure standing in front of her, and Zira, you seeing this figure in front of Aelul. It does not see you, however.
I'm going to scream Aelul's name.
Okay. All right. So, Ael, I would like you to roll a wisdom check. And Zira, I'd like you to roll survival.
That's a nat 20.
Zira, what did you roll?
16.
16. All right. So Zira, you've just come out of this memory of seeing your brother spread out on the floor in front of you. And you still have this fierce, passionate sense of loss, and you're seeing your new family, your new friend in danger, and you release this howling, screeching yell. And Aelul, in this bizarre half-world, you're sort of realizing this isn't quite your dormitory, but you're also not quite in the forest. You vividly hear, clear as a bell, Zira's voice calling your name, and you are able to shake yourself out of this bizarre dreamland, and you see yourself staring at this shadowy humanoid figure in front of you, about to reach out and try and touch you.
Have I seen a figure like this before?
Not exactly like this, but it does remind you of some other creature you have encountered before.
Okay. I think I might actually reach out towards it.
Okay, and do what?
It's reaching out. I'm going to try and hold its hand.
Okay. So as you go to reach out and touch someone, you make contact with this figure. I would like you to give me a wisdom saving throw, please.
That's a 6.
Oh, thank God I am not rolling well tonight for you. So you feel your strength slightly drain, but it's almost as if this figure can't quite make the full connection. It has, however, turned into the lovely figure of the headmistress, sneering at you. Once again.
Back away.
Back
away.
For you, however, Zira, it is still a shadow creature. So Ael, you're facing the headmistress, Oldwick. Zira, you see Ael backing off, agitated and angry almost, and nope, as this thing's trying to reach out for her. What do you do?
I'm gonna grab my brother's sword and, dig down deep to find strength. I'm not gonna be weak. I'm not gonna let my family get hurt this time. And I'm gonna grip the sword hard with both hands and run at it with the sword overhead and overhead slice down to attack it.
Okay, let's roll and see what you get.
13.
13 will just miss. However, for that description, I'm giving you inspiration. That was wonderful. So you do miss. The blade does not make contact at all. Now, what I would like for each of you to do is let's roll for initiative and get the order going.
19.
Okay. And what did you get?
20.
Oh, very cool.
30.
Okay, so AOL goes first, then Zira, then this headmistress.
I'm pretty sure I'm going to Eldritch Blast this because this isn't real. And if it is, I don't care.
You're like, no, thank you, but no. Go for it, AOL.
15. It's a 20 to hit.
That's gonna hit.
And where's my D10? That's the D10. And 1 point of damage.
Okay. So this blast emerges from you, and you've given us this very shadowy description of it before. Quite appropriate. And you see the shadow energy zip into this creature, and surprisingly, it does do some damage. Not as much as you would hope, but you at least know that that can do something to it. And Zira, it is now your turn.
I'm feeling a little shaken by the fact that I can't help her this time, so I pull my other beaten down sword from my back and swing at like its core, like try to slice through.
Okay, roll for attack, please, then.
Oh, goodness gracious. 9.
A 9. Okay, don't forget you do have that bit of inspiration if you want to re-roll. That is
Oh,
entirely
yeah,
up to
I
you.
do want to re-roll.
Okay.
19.
19 will hit, so let's see what you get damage-wise.
10.
A 10. All right, so you go and you slice at this thing, and you do see some wisps of the shadow form, because again, for you, this is a shadow form, it's not the headmistress, evaporate away. However, it does not do as much damage as you had hoped, but you still caused it injury. Quite nicely. So, it does take on some damage, just not to the full extent that you'd hoped.
I
What
have
else?
a
Is there
bonus
something more you would like to
action.
do? By
Yes,
all means, use
I
it.
have a bonus action that I can give a friendly creature who can see or hear me temp HP. And it's my superiority die plus 1, so it's 7 to AOL. And I want to, feeling like I can't hit this creature, I want to do everything I can to try to protect her because it's facing her.
Okay. Okay, so you 10 extra temporary HP for you, AOL. And then as you are doing this bonus action, you hear coming through the brush the familiar clopping of hooves. And you see emerging from the forest thick Fae with this look of concern on her face. And the second she sees this creature in front of you, AOL, she immediately pulls out her longbow and goes to strike upon this creature with her arrow. And she will hit. And that is 1d plus some stuff. All right, so she goes to strike. She gets full damage on her d8. That's going to give her a total of 12 piercing, and because of this special bow upon which her father has gifted her, it does the full damage to this creature. So you see her arrow strike true in the center of what would be the heart area of the shadow creature, and you can see the shadow's form disintegrating a little bit where this arrow has struck, and it's almost like this gaping hole is starting to develop in its center, and it is not knitting itself back together. That brings us up to the top as she looks at the two of you, and she says, I have a feeling something was wrong when you were not back yet. So Aola, what would you like to do now that you've seen this creature taking on some serious damage from Fae?
I'm gonna aim for that same spot because that seems like a great spot to continue hitting.
Okay.
With another Eldritch Blast.
Let's do it.
And that is a 24.
That's absolutely going to hit, yes.
For 6 points of damage this time.
Lovely. Okay. So you see this gaping hole. It's actually almost feathering up. You can see there are these cracks that are almost forming as it creeps up the shoulders and down towards the hips. It is starting to come apart on itself. So you have done some damage. Zira, it is your turn.
I'm going to take the lead from AOL and try to jam the sword right in that same hole as well.
Okay.
So natural 19, so it's like, it's over 20.
You definitely will hit with a over a 20, yes.
Definitely will hit it, will definitely. 5.
5. All right. So again, your sword does hit its mark. However, it does not do as much of the damage as you would hope, but it's still doing some damage to it. It is definitely looking a little weakened, and you've managed to slice off what would have been functioning as an arm as it dissipates into the air, and you have a one-armed, two-legged form with a gaping hole in the center of it. And this creature is going to actually reach out towards you, Zira, since you went in for the last attack. And its one arm is going to reach out towards you, and I'm going to put this dice away. Does a 10 hit?
No.
No. Okay, so in its weakened state, it does try to lunge and reach for you. Aowell, you do see this form suddenly take on its shadowy shape. You no longer see the headmistress as it is lunging towards Zira, but it does miss. And that is going to take us to Faye. And she is going to once again go to strike with her bow. She hits with the 19 and then some. And let's see, she's going to get... Okay, not full damage, but still she's going to be doing another 10 points of piercing. And again, because of this particular bow that she has, it does full damage on this one. And this creature, you see this arrow zip through it, and it's almost as if it could have been divided in half by this. It is looking extremely weakened. There's no longer this humanoid shape to it. It's more like this misty, foggy shape with sort of a head positioned at the top. But it is looking extremely weakened. And now we're back to Aol.
Yeah, we're gonna keep up with what seems to be working here. So does a 9 hit?
No, a 9 does not hit, my dear. So, AOL, you try and go for this. I have a feeling you're a little bit confused by the fact it went from looking like the mistress to this shadowy, creepy figure in front of you. And Zira, that now takes us to you. After seeing AOL do her best to once again try and hit, but it faltered.
16.
16 will hit. What is the damage that you get?
9.
Zira, tell us how you protect your family member and rid the group of this particular creature.
After AOL misses, I start to panic, thinking that if I don't do something now, that I am going to lose some of my family. So I flip the sword around my hand as I pull it back out of this shadowy mass and hold it straight up and jam it right through the top of its head, knowing that if it's not on me, or if I don't do it, it's not going to.
And as your blade notches through the misty form of a jaw, surprisingly, you do feel the blade make contact, and you feel this resistance. And as your sword makes its way through, and this form splits in twain and dissipates, the light in the forest brings itself back to the later afternoon light that it should be. And you feel the pressure release, not only from your head, but a little bit from your heart, as you realize you've been able to do what you so wanted to do for your own brother. As you see Aol standing there, looking at you, still perfectly fine, not even touched, not even scratched. And the birds begin to chirp, and the wind begins to blow. And Faye gives you a look of admiration and a nod of respect, seeing that you have just defeated this bizarre, shadowy figure that seems to take on the form of those you would least like to see.
Zero, being somebody who's typically really hands-off, I think will start silent tears and go up and just hug AOL in this tight hug that she probably has no idea what it's about.
Okay. So that shadow looked real cool till it didn't.
And I'll let go of her and kind of brush myself off, realizing that I'm not being my typical self. Yeah, that was pretty weird.
Yeah. Yep. I'm hungry. How about you?
Are the two of you all right? Do you need any assistance or medical attention? I came as quickly as I could when I heard that there was something going on. I was not too far away.
I'm glad you came, but I think we're okay.
Yeah,
All right.
Just some unwelcome memories, at least for me.
All right, then perhaps we should just get you back to the campsite and get some rest and some food in you. And she'll see the rabbit with the arrow, and she'll go over to it and she'll pick it up, and we'll add this to dinner. Yes.
Right, yeah. We got some mushrooms and some herbs too.
Perfect. We can make a nice little stew out of that if you don't mind. And she'll put her hand on your shoulder and just kind of give it this reassuring pat. Zira, she's actually going to take her other hand and offer her arm down to you to hoist you up and place you on her back. And there is this knowing smile on her face. You did good. But perhaps maybe give yourself a break.
Yeah, I think I need it. And I'm gonna take her hand and hop up there, and just the exhaustion, my whole body just kind of slumps, relaxed, my arms to my side.
And she will actually keep one arm wrapped around her back just to sort of act as a support for you, allowing your form just to relax against her back as the three of you make your way back to the campsite. At the same time, Slain and Maurice, now that you are reunited, Maurice, you have made it out unscathed as well, though had a very interesting interaction with yourself. Slain, you have stolen away with a magic candle and a lantern from grandmother's house, thanks to the help of her iron jaws.
Yeah. I like those teeth. Fun teeth.
Do you say this out loud to Maurice?
He might, just like as an aside, just, you know, because he would run into Maurice like as he's just sprinting through the woods, leaves and branches and everything all tangled up. The teeth are, man, I don't know how I'm going to pay him back. Maurice! Anyway, how far away are we? We're still like a good walk away from anybody like ever getting back.
You're
right?
probably about an hour's walk away. We could say if you decide that you want to head back to camp, you could variously hoof your way back over there, no problem. Don't interrupt me. Cat's meowing at me. If you wanted to. If there's something more you want to do before heading back to camp, now's the time to let me know.
Yeah, how are you doing, Maurice? You here?
Maurice would kind of still be visibly glowing a little bit as he sort of winds down, but seeing Slain approach him, he'd kind of look back towards where the spirit went, or towards at least where he thinks it went, and then kind of stow his gear and assume that, you know, if Slane's here, then he's probably not going to be attacked again. At least that's the assumption he's going to operate under. And so he'll turn back to Slane, and I'm doing better now that I'm not alone. Perhaps we should find the others. I had a bit of an encounter, and I would hate to find out that it happened to the others as well without us.
Oh yeah, that's no good. I have to. I mean, there's someone out here. You can stick around for that, I guess. But I don't know. Maybe they'll make an appearance on the way back. And Slane's like sort of nervous. You know, he seems like his eyes are darting all about, and he seems really on edge.
Okay. Okay, so
Does Maurice notice this about Slane's behavior?
Slane
Insight
is not.
check.
Slane is not a subtle
With
person.
advantage. Insight check with advantage.
That's a 19.
So my passive deception would be 8.
Good. So yeah, Maurice sees this, general kind of scanning, and he's gonna try to look around the woods to see if he sees anything, but then just gonna assume it's a Slane thing, capital T, and just kind of put a little bit of pressure on the bridge of his nose and be like, "All right, there is strength in numbers, mon ami. I am with you. Lead the way. Allons-y. We will face what we will face."
Very good. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah, all right. And Slane will begin to make his way in a meandering path back towards camp.
Okay. So as you
He's
start
not sure he
making
can
your
find
way,
the first at night, so.
what was that? You can't.
I was going to say, he's not sure if he can even find the pumpkin jack outside of the nighttime, so.
Mm-hmm, exactly, because it's still only late afternoon. So you make your way back to the camp. And as you get there, you see in front of you Faye, Eowil, and Zira. They're all around the campfire, which is now at a nice hearty glow, and you smell this amazing meal that they are cooking together. And Gervain has still not quite returned. Shreg, we don't know where he went or where they went. Just still not there. They went in a puff of light. Something's going on there. But you can tell that they have definitely, Eowil, Zira, and Faye, they've made a point to have a good hearty meal ready. And they hear you coming through the woods, and they'll turn their heads and smile at you. And as you make your way over, you do have a chance to sort of catch up as Faye makes a point to insist you all sit down and rest as she gets the plates of food pulled together for each of you.
Maurice would kind of very politely decline. I do not eat food. I would prefer to stand guard, if that's okay. And
she hands you a bottle
kinda...
of oil. I know. I got this for you instead. I figured maintenance, upkeep probably would not be bad.
You are not wrong, unfortunately. And then he'd said about it.
Okay. So Maurice has his bottle of oil, and you can tell it's a nice quality oil. This must be something she stashed in her pack after having helped you mend before. But the rest of you, you do get these lovely plates full of rabbit and mushroom stew, seasoned with the fresh picked herbs. It is tasting extremely good right now because of the day that you have had. You have not only fought some creatures in the morning, you fought a creature in the afternoon, as well as some own personal demons. Is there anything you would want to share with each other or discuss over your warm, home-cooked meal? Or camp-cooked meal, we should say.
So how was everybody's day?
I think we can say it's been a day.
Yeah. It sounds like everybody got attacked while they were by themselves. I didn't get attacked. I mean, and there's like a 5% that Slane is sad about.
Feels left out.
No one picked on me.
What's wrong? What's wrong with me? Why aren't they after me too? Yeah.
And you do have Nonami just sort of floating around all of you,
Mm-hmm.
sort of acting as a little bit of a lantern light as it does start to get darker. As the sun, will you stop? He's trying to chew my headphones. As the sun starts to set.
This rabbit stew is pretty good, but it might be better with chicken.
Oh yeah, I think so. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Do we have any chicken?
I mean, what?
Where's Henrietta?
Oh, I thought it was weird to carry her around so much anyway, and we go into I jumped in that river, and I guess she was I don't even know if she was in my pack or not when I went in. Like, that's not a responsible pet owner. So I think I showed her to a nice spot in the forest.
Oh, you set her free?
Yeah. I set her free.
Wow. Slade, I wouldn't have gotten that impression from you.
Oh no. Yeah, so yeah, yeah. Don't worry about Henrietta. I think she'll be fine.
I'll have to remember you just have a soft teddy bear heart inside that troll skin.
Yeah. It's a real teddy bear. Yes. Yeah.
I don't know. You just said, first saying that this was a pet, you just set it free in the forest because you didn't feel like a responsible pet owner. But I think the responsibility would have been to find another family for it instead of setting it free in a forest that we know does really weird stuff, especially right now.
Yeah, oh, that's a good point. Yeah. No, I didn't really think of that at the time. Man. I hope Marietta's okay. Yeah, and
We're gonna flash back. We're gonna flash quickly as Slane says, "I hope Henrietta's okay." And you see Baba Yaga. She's coming around the corner carrying 2 cups of tea.
All right, Slender, I made it just as you like it. Who the hell are you?
And Henrietta in her cage looks to Baba Yaga and fluffs out her feathers and sort of preens herself as Baba Yaga sort of tilts her head. Dinner it is. And we go back to Slane.
yeah, Henrietta, she's a chicken, so like you're gonna get what, good 3-4 years, a boon companionship. So, better off, in the wild. She's got claws and feathers. She'll be fine. And Slane is, he's gonna try to produce a bunch of smoke from the fire to distract everybody.
You're literally giving yourself a smoke screen for your lines.
Yeah. Because he just, he's like, he doesn't want to be questioned anymore. So he will try to just make the whole thing. What can he do? He can extinguish it. I don't want to just blunt everybody. He's going to make it change shape into a tree or something.
The smoke?
The fire, the flames themselves.
The fire. Okay.
Yeah, of the campfire. Yeah.
All right.
It lasts for an hour. Look at that. Whoa. I think that's the trees telling us to be careful with this fire. And he is going to try to back out. It's a very awkward social situation for him.
Faye's going to look at you and arch her brow and just sort of wave her hand and it dissipates. Oh, perhaps someone has picked up a new trick.
No. I mean, yes. Yeah, I can do fire now, which is weird, but also I think it's convenient as a troll. And I could also I think the roots of the trees obey me because I can make the ground move too. That was literally this morning.
She's just gonna smile. Perhaps you should all get some rest. I think we're all getting a little bit punchy with exhaustion.
Yeah, I've easily been up 28 hours already.
And
if it is the same day that he went out looking for something.
You did. You kind of cheated yourself out of some rest there. And as you're saying this, in comes Gervain, still looking slightly dazed, though not as fixated on you, Slane, with little Czar at his side. Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to be gone so long there, guys. What smells so good?
I'm gonna get up and get him a bowl.
Okay.
And
he'll take his seat.
Hand it to him.
Oh, wow, thanks, Sarah. This smells awesome. Oh, I'm starving. And he tucks in and he starts eating his dinner, and we will leave it with all of you sitting around the campfire. Maurice, you have made sure you are very well oiled, thanks to the provisions that Faye has given you. Faye is sort of looking over at Slane with this smirk on her face and grinning. AOL and Zira. you're sort of enjoying the fact that everyone who is eating is enjoying the efforts of your afternoon excursion. And eventually you all do sort of establish what your watch times are going to be. Slane, it's actually insisted that you go to bed first. So you were able to go to bed first, and the watch is processed through. And we will leave it with you all getting your much needed 8 hours of rest in some shape or form. And we will pick up again next week, hopefully with more of our subscriber. Well, thank you, first of all, Arg Scott. Let's give it a pirate flair. Thank you for subscribing so much. We will return with all of our layers. That's the word I want to use next week for the 14th episode of The Last Heir. So we have 3 more episodes left. So yeah, that's the thing that's going to be happening. But we will be returning in the new year. So do keep that in mind, darlings. Oh my gosh. Here I thought we were going to have a shorter session, but as always, you guys give me so much to work with, and I love it. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back around. Please tell us where we can find you. What are you up to? If you have any fun things going on, and your favorite part about this evening. And I'm going to go in reverse order, which means I start with the lovely Jessie. Let's hear it, my sir.
I am Jesse. I played Maurice this evening and every other evening. And I can be found on Twitter as @JesseNeon. The only real thing I have going on is that my book is currently available on Amazon. So that's super exciting. It's up and about. If you like D&D, terrible people trying really hard and, you know, dragons getting murdered and such, then maybe you'll like the book. I don't know. My favorite part of the session by far has got to be the Slane just kind of emerging from the woods while Maurice is like steaming with the heat of battle and be like, yes, yeah, those teeth, yeah. Just so, yeah, that's my moment.
Hey, why not? Gotta watch out for those teeth. All right, Kai, we're over to you.
I am Stonefly_Kai on pretty much everything. That's where you can see what games I'm in, what's coming up. I'm in a new game coming the new year, which is with the Bad DM and Michael Kritz from here that we're really excited about. It's the Fae Force Academy, so check that out. You can see what other games I'm playing on there. I am DMing a game soon, so wish me luck because I've never done it on stream and I'm super terrified. And my favorite part tonight was Zira kind of finding peace in her past.
Yeah, that was very well done on your part. Wonderful. Okay, Jim, shifting over to you.
Yeah.
Poor Henrietta.
So, poor Henrietta. I was hoping at least that Baba might be like, well, he did you wrong too. But we'll see. I am WebDM Jim. You can find us over on YouTube, where we are making D&D and tabletop RPG videos. I believe PAX Unplugged is the next place we're going to be, and I'm getting ready to run some sword and wizardry using the Midgard book for swords and wizardry for it. So that's going to be really fun. And I think my favorite, apart from like, I just like killer voices and just everything, V, like that is, it's one thing to be like, oh yeah, we talked to a bunch of NPCs, but like to bring it to life is really awesome. And so I kudos to that, as well as like getting a peek at everybody's backstory. Yes,
so
absolutely.
Much.
I was like, these are my stories. But just like getting to see everybody's backstories was really cool. Like, you know, for some of them, it's like, what are you doing here? Why are you here? So it was pleasurable to see that. Yeah.
Oh, I'm glad. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, bumping it up over to our lovely Torn Pixie.
Hello, I'm Torn Pixie. You can find me on here and on TikTok at Torn Pixie, and then on Instagram and Twitter as Torn Pixie. Twitch, if you want to keep up with my schedule, Twitter is definitely the place. I've got it pinned on Twitter. TikTok, if you want to watch me do random OC cosplay stuff. Favorite part? I hate choosing. I hate choosing. It was really, really good tonight. It was all really, really good tonight.
Oh, I'm glad you enjoyed the whole kit and caboodle then.
There's a lot of growth. There's a lot of growth, even though like a lot of it's flashback. It still shows so much.
Yeah. That was very cool to see you all playing around with it and growing from it. And honestly, my favorite part was seeing each of you reflecting how your PC has grown here in the Margreave compared to what's been going on in the past. That was just fascinating to watch you all pull around and feed into and develop. So I am one hell of a lucky DM. I am V Muse. You can find me here every Sunday doing The Last Heir, which is a Tales of the Old Margreave inspired campaign, which we are running through for season 1. We have 3 more episodes left of season 1, but we're getting picked up again for season 2, starting in the new year. Very exciting stuff. You can also find me over on many of the socials as The Crafting Muse. I have a YouTube channel. I also am very active over on Twitter as well as Facebook and Instagram. And you can also find me every Thursday over on Mini Train Domain playing my lovely bard, Cantrielle Cavatina, who's got a mouth on her and an attitude. She's actually a lot of fun if you want to come and check us out. It starts at 8:30 p.m. every Thursday evening. And honestly, my favorite part is being able to take these moments with each and every one of you and just flesh things out more for your PCs and the backstories. I get such a high off of doing that with each of you and the improv factor that goes into it, because we did not plot this out too much ahead of time, folks. This was more literally, we're going to do this, okay, cool, and then you watch it develop with us, which I just absolutely adore. So that is it for us for tonight. Do be sure to check back in. I'm not sure if we have something going on tomorrow evening, but Tuesday evenings you can also catch the World Tree Burns with Dan Dillon as your DM and his lovely players. So go and check it out in a couple days' time. And for now, take care. Have a great start to your week. Thank you so much, everyone, for spending your Sunday evening with us, for the subscriptions, for the follows, for the bits, and all that loveliness. I'm realizing we need to find a good plan